Hey, welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. I'm Charlie Perry here celebrating Black History Month, and I just added a little twist to it, and the twist is that I was going to celebrate my hometown, New Bedford, Massachusetts. The Our town is known as the Whaling City, and so it's basically Whaling City. It was, I think, 13 miles. Yeah, it's 13 miles long. Textile mills all over the place. A lot of them are gone now. But so the history is rich, and it starts as young as the country. And so when I go around and I see different things and I read about it, and it just makes me proud that some of the most famous people that I had read about in school um, walk the same streets that I'm walking right now. So, especially African Americans, but everyone's in this city is just proud of some of the things that have happened here, and I am too. So, we have a source of information. It's called the New Bedford Historic Society .org, and a lot of my material comes from here, um, or bits and pieces of it. So I thought that today would be a great day just to honor the Historic Society, um, and the things that they're doing. All right. What's up, Tony? Good morning, man. Nice to see you. The night was quick. Um, didn't seem like I really slept this last evening, and man, but here we are. God bless. All right. The New Bedford Historic Society was founded in October 1996 and was awarded a 501c status in September 1999. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to documenting and celebrating the history, legacy, and presence of African American, Cape Verdean, Native Americans, West Indians, and other people of color in New Bedford, Massachusetts. We are all volunteers um, for this grassroots organization. And I say New Bedford, and I gotta say Massachusetts because there's a few cities and or towns named New Bedford, so across the country. So I have to make sure I put in that Massachusetts. All right. For 18 years, the New Bedford Historic Society has worked to celebrate the history and culture of people of color, adding much cultural landscape for New Bedford. Over the past several years, New Bedford Historic Society has designed and participated in teacher professional development workshops for the area of K through 12 teachers at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. Workshops focused on New Bedford, African American studies, the Underground Railroad, and local abolitionist activities of the 19th century. They assisted in organizing the Massachusetts Underground Railroad network that links New Bedford sites to Lowell, Holyoke, Brockton, Boston, etc., in order to better tell the story of the role of our state in the fight of freedom of hundreds of fugitive slaves. I would love to find something that traces Harriet Tubman here. And, I know that herself and Frederick Douglass had a relationship, as far as being friends. I believe it was in New York. I think they met up. Um, can't remember. Upper state New York, and that's where her home is. But I if they're connecting that close, I just like to grab something and get some history of her here in the city. But the New Bedford Historic Society is something that I want to join, um, only because of this last year. I really found out a lot of things that they're doing that really appeals to me. So, not coffee today, little hot chocolate, you know, does the body good. So, let's continue. Um, they are currently the New Bedford Historic Society is presently uh, working on walking tours of the Underground Railroad sites um, in New Bedford. They're working with Bristol Community College students and teachers and many student groups from New Bedford Public Schools. They create this hidden history, and it's out of school program and summer programs for middle school students. And it shines a light on the local history. In celebration of African American History Month, they held the 14th annual readathon of Frederick Douglass biography, which is amazing. You have a church full of people just reading, you know, the writings of Frederick Douglass, and that goes on every year. And it's a great thing to be around, great thing to participate in, which I haven't done yet. I would like to read something um, from his writings. So who knows? Maybe next year. But the first thing I want to do is get more involved with the New Bedford Historic Society. Some of the things they're doing. They co-sponsored an event with the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth with 3 national endowments for the humanities, landmark in American history, bringing teachers from around the country for the past 4 years to study New Bedford's African American community and their role with the Underground Railroad in the movement for the abolition of slavery. The Historic Society is pleased to look back on our array accomplishments made possible by its members and its friends. And some of those accomplishments are the Nathan and Mary Polly house, which Frederick Douglass lived in. This house is, let me see, in December 1998, the Society acquired the Nathan Polly house at 21 7th Street in New Bedford. And I had talked about this early in the earlier shows. This house was very, very, they actually owned 2 different houses, but this house, was an important stop for the Underground Railroad. Many escaped slaves, and because of the residents of New Bedford, they passed through the city on their way to points further north to freedom, which is true. They just, I mentioned about Lowell and Brockton. Those are all cities that are north of us. But the main thing was to get further north in Canada because of this was something that was going in the 1830s. And around the 1850, Slavery Act, the Fugitive Act, that thing that shook up the whole country, and actually was the reason that, in my opinion, that things have really gotten, you know, moved along a whole lot faster, once that act, because everyone started seeing the cruelties of this and people being subject to jail and fines, And when you start hurting people in their pocket, they start waking up and say, wait a minute, you know what? We're penalizing some good people. We're hurting a culture, a people. It's slavery. It's cruel. It's unusual, especially when you have people speaking in front of like Frederick Douglass, traveling. I can't think of the country he went to, but I gotta get that fact. But he went overseas and spoke to people. He went to Nantucket Island. Um, but there was one thing that the slaves in New Bedford Historic Society points this out is that they were if you got on board a ship, you were guaranteed that you wouldn't be put back into slavery. So a lot of um, African Americans had jumped on board ships and went down south to transport clothes and oils and different merchandise and products and go down south and unload and then come back up north to New Bedford. And the other thing is that these crews wasn't just, you know, just white crew members. There was black and white together, working together, and just doing those voyages from 16 to 60 months, sometimes out at sea, making their deliveries and bringing back money to the area. All right, let's see. The New Bedford Historic Society was awarded the Perseverance American Award, which is a national award. Um, and it's because they were working with preserving and celebrating the heritage of African Americans, Cape Verdean, Native Americans, and West Indians, and other people of color in New Bedford. One of the group's signature accomplishments has been the acquisition and preservation of the Nathan Mary Polly Johnson House. And when I talk about, you know, people coming to this house, there's huge numbers coming here, and you could see it in the summer months where they're just standing outside on the stepway, getting ready to go inside. And now to make it even better, across the street from this house, they have a Abolition Park, which is a little park just the size that you would put a house on, and it's coming out pretty good. So that should be done within the next few months. All right, let me scroll down here a little bit. They got past accomplishments of Historic Society members have helped organize portraits of a port, New Bedford, from 1847 to 1947. A summer teachers initiative or institute of the New Bedford Whaling Museum um, have been lectures in the parks of classrooms. Yeah, they would go in the parks and just lecture about New Bedford, which is pretty good. Kids like to go outside, teachers like to be outside, and you get to learn right there in the parks. They acquired the endangered 19th century Nathan and Polly Johnson House, which I mentioned, spurred the development in New Bedford's historic district of the 54th Regiment Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry Plaza, which is a place I like to hang out downtown. That was dedicated in 1999 to honor the Black Civil War unit, the 54th and 55th Regiments, and the U.S. Navy. They also sponsored presenting Mr. Frederick Douglass, a one-man two-act play by acclaimed actor Frederick Morcell in conjunction with the New Bedford Public Schools for a week. Morrow does his daily performances in city schools and and a final free public performance at the New Bedford Zeiterion Theater. They initiated Remembering the West End, an ongoing oral history project documented this New Bedford neighborhood in a long center of the community, life among people of color. And one thing I like about that is there's another part of history that we have here in New Bedford, and that's the Black Panther Party, which they had a headquarters here that, you know, my family, my friends were involved in, and they actually were here about 2, 3 years, and really helped out, especially when we had the race riots here in the city. It was, but the Panther Party and community leaders were very active and taking control of that situation and making it a little bit a little bit less violent as much as they could. But at that point, the whole country was crazy. The whole country just had enough of all this segregation. So, all right. They also initiated the Cape Verdean Film Festival, which Cape Verdean is that's, part of my history and my family. And it's a week long festival and that started in 1998 and was the first event of its kind held in the United States. It's real nice because you get to learn, you know, Cape Verdean people. And after gaining their independence from Portugal in 1975, there was so much history that was recorded, and the film festival was pretty good. They created the Heritage Trail, which is a guided tour to sites significant to the history of people of color in New Bedford, including the principal Underground Railroad sites. They developed the Frederick Douglass New Bedford years in 1830 from 1838 to 1843, which is now open in the New Bedford Art Museum, and sponsored the showing of the New Bedford of Jacob Lawrence, the Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman series narrative paintings. Let's see, a traveling expedition from the Hampton University Museum. And also, last but not least, the co-sponsored Face of Whaling, the first local exhibit ever mounted on a whaleman of color, and aided the New Bedford Whaling Museum Historic Park in compiling an oral history of surviving whalemen. There's a house that was just purchased by some people that lived outside the area, but I just found out just a few months ago that that was home of an African American whaler. And so now it's in the hands of someone else. I think it was something that could have been obtained, especially when an African American family did own it, but they sold it and someone jumped all over it. And, but I'd like to gather some more history on that. All right, everyone. This is pretty much what I have for I just wanted to give the New Bedford Historic Society a little platform and talk about them because they're doing amazing things. You just heard some of the things that are probably a third of what they've done in the city, but that is very significant because some cities and towns don't even record history like this when it comes in. They just don't know it. And then they find out afterwards with people coming in and say, "Hey, did you know that so and so lived there?" No, we didn't. But anyways, I could do this every day, be on Fireside. I really thank you for joining me, Tony, and everybody on replay on YouTube. I'm gonna share it all my social media, everyone on there, Facebook, LinkedIn. All right, hold on 1 second. There we go. Welcome to the stage, Tony.
Yeah, good morning, really, Charlie.
Good morning.
Hey, great show.
Thank you.
Great show. Every one of these shows, I find myself saying, "I didn't know that."
Mm.
There's so much I didn't know. It was real interesting about if an African American in New Bedford was able to get in onto a ship
Mm.
and work. That granted him or her freedom.
Yes,
Yes. I did not know that. Had no idea.
it's amazing that.
And traveling to, South Carolina, it just I had no idea.
Mm. Yep.
No idea. So that was a good point. And I know you're closing out the show. I just want to say something to you real quick.
Sure, sure.
Is it all right to call you at 9 o'clock?
That's fine.
Cool.
I'm ready.
That's what I will do then. All right. Great show. Good information. And I'll talk to you later.
All right, brother. Thank you. And yeah, I'll be ready for that telephone call. All right, man. Thank you as always, man. Tony Cordova from I'm Right, I'm Right. Definitely a great show. One of my favorites on Wednesday. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to wrap up a few things here, get my day started, and I'll be listening to you on Fireside, everyone that's out there shortly, because Fireside is my source of entertainment and enjoyment. So God bless, love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow with some more Black history from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Take care.